Hello. Good news, everyone. I've found paradise. Yep, the actual paradise. It wasn't hard. I just typed paradise into Google, and there it came up on Google Maps. I know you must all be thinking, where is this walled garden of Eden, where the species live in harmony, where the grass is green and the girls are pretty? Well, it's just off Junction 20 on the M25. And here it is. So this is paradise. It's not how I imagined it either. And the rest of the images are all of paradise as well. I've been making trips, and you could call it a pilgrimage, to all these places over Britain that are officially called paradise. And as you can probably tell by now, paradise isn't all it's cracked up to be. 3 years ago, this project started in a pub, like all the best projects do, chatting about places which sound amazing, but in reality, they're a little bit crap. Where I grew up in the Midlands, there was a rough council estate in a place called Corby, famous for having the highest rate of teen pregnancy in Europe at one point. And the estate is kind of 60s concrete tower blocks, and it was called Balmoral. And now there's only one other Balmoral in the UK, and that's the Queen's Balmoral 49,000-acre estate, which I thought was a strange name for a block of flats. But it's not just a coincidence. Within the same estate in Corby, there's also Blenheim Walk, in homage to Blenheim Palace, I imagine, and Glenbourne Gardens, named after the giant stately home. There's also a suburban street in Rayleigh in Essex. It's pure suburbia, like average 1970s homes, and it's called Everest. Not Everest Road, not Everest Street, simply Everest. And it's one of those things you just have to laugh at because it's not even on a hill. I did some more research and found dozens of places that promise so much. Prospect Place, Mount Pleasant, Greatness Road, which are all pretty depressing. And today I've been to Friendly Street, which I kind of feared for my life. But paradise stuck with me the most. It's one of those, I think it's because we all have this mental image of what paradise looks like, kind of formed over centuries thanks to art and religion and music. And I love that juxtaposition of how our perception of paradise and the reality of it, and the reality of it is, as you can see. But what I really want to know is, who the hell is responsible for giving these places their names? And who are the people that sit around a table thinking of names for roads and streets? And how do they justify paradise? So yeah, what are the places? What is the process of how places are named? Well, back in the day, to name a place was to define it, and every name was chosen for a reason. For example, Newcastle or Sevenoaks or even Wheelbarrow Town, which actually exists. Like when people were called Smith because they were a blacksmith, like places were given descriptive names with the connections to the area. Well, kind of what I found so interesting about these paradise places is that in most cases, there's nothing nice about them. I could understand it if there was an amazing view, or if the area had like the most hours of sunlight in the UK, something that would justify the name paradise. Also, the majority of these locations are relatively modern, kind of being created in the last 50 years. So how did they get their names? Well, it turns out that anyone can suggest a name for a new street or road. But before you all rush off and begin naming streets after yourself, there are some rules. For example, you can't name a street after anyone living, or you can't name a street after a rude word. So I'm not quite sure how Butthole Road slipped through the net, but we'll get back to Butthole Road later. It turns out that it's actually the property developers who are the ones that suggest the names. And their suggestions are then passed on to the local town council, who sit around a table drinking tea and probably just say, yeah, whatever. And this is what I found really interesting, that it's the property developers, the ones who are trying to get as high a price as possible for their new homes, who suggest this block of flats should be on Paradise Crescent, for example. And it's all part of creating a desirable image, just like they decide which roof should go on a house or which front door it should be. And they know what they're doing, of course. A study by the website needaproperty.com, which sounds fake, but apparently it's real, found that streets with embarrassing names like Crotch Crescent, Turkey Cock Lane and Bell End were around a fifth a fifth or £84,000 cheaper on average than identical homes situated on identical roads. And the flip side of that is property which is on a positive, like utopian-sounding street would push the value of property up even higher than the average. However, there is good news for residents of embarrassing streets. If enough people want to name on the street want the street name changed, all they have to do is ask the council. And almost all the councils across the country have reported cases of residents wanting to change their name. Butthole Road was featured in an American book, which resulted in American tourists taking coach trips to Butthole Road to have their photo taken in front of the sign. But you'll be glad to know, Butthole Road is now called Archer Way. And yeah, there are many cases of places being their names changed into something pleasant. White Way Avenue in Bath changed its street to change its name to English Combe Rise because of the negative connotations of sharing a name with a nearby dodgy estate called White Way. Derby Road in Bournemouth was changed to Garden Views because the name was perceived to have more desirable connections. And of course, the property value might have risen by a fair amount, who knows. But back to paradise. The world religions have kind of taught us what paradise is like. It's a walled garden where all species live in harmony. I'm simplifying it a little bit. It's what Earth was like before it was tainted by evil, or commonly known as humans. And it sounds nice, doesn't it? Well, the good news is, according to the world religions, the second coming of Jesus is imminent, and when he does arrive, as prophesied, the entire earth will apparently be restored back to paradise. But until then, you just have to put up with this. There we go. Thank you.